Welcome to another review from the Four Corners of the Board with your host, Graeme Anderson.
Hello everyone, this is Graeme Anderson from Four Corners of the Board. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Above and Below put out by Red Raven Games. Now, I'd heard a lot about it, and a lot of people really enjoyed the storytelling aspect of this game. Now, I enjoy other storytelling games, such as Tales of Arabian Nights or Agents of Smersh. And then they said it was a Euro game as well. And I thought, a Euro game with storytelling aspects of it? Could this be good? Well, let's get it to the table. I'll show you how it's played. Then we'll come back and I'll tell you what I thought of Above and Below. So here we have the components set up for a 3-player game of Above and Below. Now, I've only set up one player board just for space purposes, but everyone's going to get their own player board. They're going to get a house in their village. They're going to be given 7 coins. And depending on the number of players, it may determine the different number of coins. But since this is the first player, they will always start with 7 coins. You're also given 3 villagers, and they're in your active zone. Your player board set up to your active zone, your tired zone, and your injured zone, along with an advancement track and all the actions you can do on your turn. The 3 villagers you're going to get are the same for each person, just the pictures are going to be different. But they will be a general laborer, a trainer, and a builder. You also have money and a whole bunch of different resources you can buy. You have the cards that are set up. The top row is always the same. Every game you're going to start with the star cards, and they're designated by the little star on them. The next row is the key cards, again designated by the little keys under the cost. And there are 9 of them in the game. You're going to shuffle up and just draw 4. The other 5 go back in the box, not to be used again. Then you have general cards and their stack, outposts and their stack. You've also got the sideboard, which has other villages you can train, so get into your village. You've got the turn order track, or the turn track. There are 7 turns during the game, and this little chit is used to track that. Everybody's got a player color cube, which will start on the space here. You've got 1 cider per round, and you've got special villagers, which can only be obtained through the encounter book. I'm not going to be going through the encounter book, but this is used when you decide to go explore, and you're going to give it to someone else. They're going to read the paragraph that's determined, and then they will kind of walk you through the encounter. But I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't be going through this book. You've also got potions here, which you can obtain either through cards or through encounters. I'll explain what those do at the end of round. And you've got the cave cards, which are used for exploring as well. So let's go through the different actions. I'm going to go through the actions, but I'm going to leave the go for an encounter or go explore for the last thing. So the first one is the harvest. And if you had something where you had goods on it, so this card here, if this was in my village, it would generate 1 pair per round. For each person I've moved over and they worked, so they got tired, I can take 1 good from my village and place it either on my advancement board, or I can put it up for sale. To put it on your advancement board always starts from the left to right, and the more different types of goods, so the higher this goes along, the more points it's going to be worth, and the more of your income is going to be at the beginning of each round, or at the end of each round actually is when you get your income. If you have more than 1 of the same good, so let's say next round another one is generated, I harvested again with someone, I'm going to take the same one, and because it's matching, I have to place it on top of one I already have. I cannot have pairs in 2 different spots, which actually means my income isn't as much, but at the end of the game, they're going to be worth more points, and I'll get into how you score that when we talk about the end of game. So that is the harvest action. The next action is the build action, and you must have a builder for this, and a builder is designated by the little mallet in the top of the player piece. And all you're going to do then is you're going to move the builder into the rested zone because he's working, and you can purchase any of the cards that are up here. Now, you must have a cave to build these, but it's the same action, it's the same builder action, and all you do is you pay the cost in the top corner in gold, and you're going to add it to your village. If you have a cave card in front of you, you can place 1 of these cave cards, and after the explore action I'll explain just a tiny bit more about that, but all you're going to be doing is taking the build action and paying the cost in the top of the cards. The next action is the train action, and for that you must have someone that has a quill on it. So you're going to move them from the active zone to the tired zone, and you can purchase any of these villagers up here. You can't purchase these are only available through the book, but any of these ones up here you're allowed to purchase, and it shows you the cost underneath each person. So if I paid 3 coins, I can buy this person, and when I buy them, they go right into my tired zone. You can't use them right away. These here, when you train them, are not filled until the end of the round. If I'd purchased a card during the build action, let's say I bought that one, then it would be replaced by the next one in the pile. So this row and this row will automatically be refilled after they're purchased. These top 2 rows will not be refilled. These are set for the entire game, and the villagers which you can purchase will only be refilled at the end of the round. So that is the train action. The last action is just like a general labor. General labor allows you to take any of your active guys that have not been used yet, and you can just move them over and make them tired, and for each person you move over, you're going to get 2 coins. So I move 2 people over, I would gain 2 coins, and I can add them to my stack. If I'm the first person to do the general labor per round, I'm going to be able to take the cider that's on this board. There's only 1 cider available per round, but I can actually take that and add it to my stack of items. And when we talk about the end of round actions, the cider will come into play there. And again, if I get the cider and I don't need it, I can actually put it up for sale. The 3 free actions you can do are, one of them is to put something up for sale, and you can only ever have 1 thing for sale at the same time. Another action is to buy something else that someone has for sale, and you can only purchase on your turn, but you can say, you know what, I'm another player, I want to have that cider. I will give you 5 coins or 4 coins or whatever else. We can barter. The minimum cost is always going to be 3 coins, and you can only trade coins. You can't do future gifts or villages or anything like that. You can only do coins. The last action you can do is you can pay 1 coin, and you can do this only once per round, and wipe one of the rows. So if I don't like any of these cards and I want to do the build action, I could pay a coin, scrap those 4, and draw another 4 out. So the last action is, in my mind, the most interesting one, which is the explore action. So let's put that back, and let's say we had, put this guy back too. To do the explore action, you must have a minimum of 2 people. So you must have 2 active people that can go exploring. So let's say I want to move the general and the builder over. So we move them over, saying I want to explore. You take the top cave card and say that's where you're exploring. And the cave card across the bottom has basically numbers for the paragraphs in the book. And each cave card is different. So because I'm exploring, I'm going to roll 1 die. I rolled a 4. So I will tell someone else at the table who has the encounter book here to turn to paragraph 54. They will read the paragraph to me, and they will give me some options that are going to happen. And there'll be, let's say I come across a house. It may be that you try and break into the house and steal. And they will say, you know, you have the option to break in and steal, explore 4 and explore 7. Or you can try and run away and look for stuff in the gutter, explore 2. So that explore number is the number that you must beat with your characters. And that explore number is made up from, each of your characters here have little lanterns. So if I said explore 4, I must get 4 lanterns on all my people. And how do you get them? Well, for each person that you sent exploring, you're going to take a die, and you must roll the die and say, before you roll it, who this die is for. So in our game, we always did left to right. So I said, okay, the first die is for this first person, I roll a 6. And for the second person, I also roll a 6. Now I would have had to declare what I wanted to do. Let's say I wanted to steal. So the steal was, or break in and steal. And the steal was either explore 4 or explore 7. Well, there's no way I can get 7. Because if I look at this guy, the maximum he can give me is 2. The maximum he can give me is 1. So because I roll a 6 on both guys, I'm going to look at my little chit here, and it says if I roll a 1 or 2, I'm going to get 1 lantern for him. And if I roll 3 or more, I'm going to get 2 lanterns. So I rolled a 6 for him, so I get 2 lanterns for him, which is good because I want to get my explore at least up to 4. And this guy here says I have to roll 4 or more to get 1 lantern. So I rolled a 6 on him, so I'm up to 3 lanterns, which is good. But if I left it at that, I would fail. If you fail, your guys will come back to the tired zone and you get nothing for your encounter. And sometimes actually in the encounter book, if you fail something that you've chosen to do, there will be a negative consequence. and that will tell you what in the encounter book what will happen. But I'm one away from getting a successful steal. So what you can do is I can actually exert one of these guys, and that's the way we designated exerting, and he will give me an extra lantern. So right now he gives me 2 lanterns because of the roll, plus I'm exerting him, which will give me 3 lanterns for him, plus his 1 lantern, which is 4 lanterns. And the options I had were steal, explore 4, or 7. So I have my 4, so I've met the lower one, and the person who will reading the book will tell me what happens. They'll tell me what my reward is. So since it was successful, that cave gets added to my card. This guy, because he was not exerted, goes into the tired zone, and because he was exerted, will go into the injured zone. Now that I have a cave down here, if I decide to take the build action, I can now build one of these outposts and cover up the card. So I could place that there. So for every outpost you want to build, you must have a cave card. So once everybody has moved their people over and everybody is out of actions, you then do the end of round. So the first thing you do is just move the round counter. You're going to, if there's no cider here, you're going to add a cider token. You're then going to do any villagers. So let's say I bought that villager. You shift these over to make them cheaper. You then turn over the top villager and replace them. You then rest your villagers. Now this is kind of the interesting part of the game. You're going to look at how many beds you have and any cider you have or any potion you have. Now I'll go through the cider and potion first, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your people from either tired or injured over to the active zone. So a potion will allow you to freely move one person from the injured to the rested, and you discard the potion, and the cider will allow you to move someone from the tired to rested. So let's say I had done that. Let's say I had my cider because I had done the labor. I'm going to discard the cider, and I'm going to move this guy over. I now have 3 beds. For each bed, I can move one person from the injured to the exhausted or the exhausted to ready. You cannot move the same person twice. So I cannot use my beds to move this guy from here to here and only leave 1 bed. If I had a potion, I could use the potion on him first and move him to the rest, and then use a bed on him to move over there. But I can't use just the beds to move someone 2 positions. So I have 3 beds, so I can move 1 second bed and my 3rd bed. So that's what I'm left over at the end of the round. You then are going to collect income. So again, you're going to look at your advancement track down here, and whichever is so the minimum is always 4, and whichever is the highest one that has been filled. So let's say I was able to get a pear and a mushroom. My income is now 6, which is, not bad. It goes all the way up to 8. You get that in the coins. You then refresh any goods that you have. So there are cards such as this, which you will refresh each round by putting, if there's not a pair on there, you're going to put a pair. There's no stacking of them. So this will only ever have 1 pair on it and gets refreshed if you harvest it during the round. Then the first player card goes to the person on your left, and you're ready to start the next round. So the game ends when we get down to round 7. You're then going to add up all your points once you're finished the round. Each house that you have is worth 1 point. Empty caves are worth nothing, so the houses are, any of these cards that are up here that you can buy are worth automatically 1 point. You're then going to look at your cards to see whether they give you bonuses. So for example, this card here will give you 1 point if you have 1 point for every cider, mushroom, pear, and fish that you have. So you're going to count up all your bonus points from your house. You're then going to look at your advancement track. Your advancement track works like this. There's the points here besides the coins. For every good that is in this point, you're going to get 1 point. So if I had, let's say I had that. I have 3 pears in this first. Each pear is worth a point, so I get 3 points for that. I have a single mushroom, so that's worth a point. I have 2 fish, and each fish is worth 2 points. I have 4 points there. You add up all the points, and tie game, whoever has the most coins, and that's how you play Above and Below. Now let's get back to the table, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. First, counting up your final points, you're going to be looking at the reputation track, which you'll get usually through the encounter book. Whoever is furthest on the encounter track is going to get 5 points, then second 3, and based on the number of players, it will go from there. If you're just playing 2 players, only the first player will get any points. They'll get 3 points. Also, you'll either gain extra points by getting further along the reputation track. You can even lose points by falling behind on the reputation track. But whoever is in first place will get points based on this, and then extra bonus points to that. Anyway, now let's get back to the table, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Above and Below. Well, what did I think about Above and Below? Well, let me start off by saying I did enjoy the game, but I didn't love the game. The storytelling aspect, although interesting, I'm glad there's more to the game than just reading those paragraphs, because honestly, those paragraphs left me wanting more. My biggest issue with the game really comes down to those paragraphs. There was no real resolution to them. Sure, you would walk into somewhere, someone would read you a paragraph and your options, you perform whatever action it was, and then it would end. Yes, you can lose or gain reputation, but that reputation really isn't carried over to the next paragraph that you're reading. I would have loved to have a more cohesive story so that stuff that you did in one encounter affected what happened in the other encounter. Now, it would be impossible to tell, one story with all these different encounters, but if I lost reputation, then why wouldn't it be the next time I came across something or some person or, some situation, that reputation would be taken into account for that encounter? It would make it easier or more difficult. I would think that would be a fairly straightforward thing to do, but it's not there. And just having the unfulfilled resolution of those paragraphs really left me wanting more with that. The actual Euro game itself is interesting. It's relatively basic and simple, and it's enjoyable, but I felt that the encounter thing is what brought this Euro game slightly higher, but also what kind of left me wanting more. I looking at this, reading those paragraphs going, boy, if they just had more to the resolution or more interaction between your encounters, this would have been a great game. But as it stands, it's just a good game. So I would encourage you to try the game. It's definitely interesting. And if you don't like sitting down and doing just the storytelling, such as in Tales of Arabian Nights, and want more to a game than just that, then Above and Below will fill that need very well. So I'm giving it a mediocre rating. It's good, not great. And if that sounds good to you, I encourage you to try Above and Below from Red Raven Games. And as always, thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching another review from the Four Corners of the Board. Please like and subscribe to these videos. You can also follow us on social media, email us directly, or check out our website at fourcornersoftheboard.com.